Hi everyone, I'm Cendril, and welcome to a new Let's Play, Command & Conquer Red Alert 3. If you know nothing about the Command & Conquer series, it's a pretty lengthy one. There are even a few different universes to Command & Conquer. There's the regular series, which consists of Tiberium, which is Command & Conquer 2, 3, and 4. I think 4 is the newest one. I haven't seen a new Command & Conquer game in a while, and that could just be me. But this is Red Alert 3. The Red Alert series is another universe in Command & Conquer. This came out in 2008, so it's a little old now. The acting in it is cheesy at some points, but I love it. I think it's hilarious. I really like the actors that are in it. I think they do a good job with like the scripts they're given. It's supposed to be some tongue-in-cheek with it, some jokes to it. The Red Alert series takes place in a alternate universe if the Cold War between the United States and Russia got hot, which means they actually went to war. You could say Red Alert 3 is kind of a continuation of Red Alert 2. The Allies have beaten back the Soviets all the way back to Russia, and things are falling apart. However, the Russians have one final trick up their sleeve, and it will change everything. Now, a few other things I've, per usual, gotten the volume to where I think it is. If it's not too great, I'll just go over some things afterwards and try to change it. The person that I really like is actually on the Russian side, and it's Tim Curry. If you don't know Tim Curry, he is a hilarious actor to me, and he plays his role here very well. And again, it's a little tongue-in-cheek. Sometimes the voice acting is not too great. The acting isn't all that, but I still find this game hilarious. I'm not too great at RTSs, which is what this is, a real-time strategy. Think Warcraft, like Warcraft 3, or think StarCraft. Command & Conquer is, at least it was, one of those big RTSs, and a lot of people look at some of the older games really fondly. So, with all of that, because this is what I do on my channel, I know some of you are not too familiar with certain types of games. So I'm actually going to go through the tutorial for Red Alert 3. We're going to go over the basics, how to establish a base. That way you understand everything that's going on. And this is my my channel thing. So now that I've kind of gone over the introduction, if you already know how to play the game, just skip ahead.
Welcome to Command & Conquer Red Alert 3. I'm an Allied Guardian tank, and these prats and I are here to tell you about how we think you should be doing your job, sir.
Yes, we have temporarily called a truce to make sure you do not send us to our deaths needlessly. To begin with, we will tell you how to move your viewpoint around the battlefield, and how to command your units, including the best ones, such as me, the Soviet hammer tank. Just look at this body compared with the teeny little Japanese tank to my left.
Shut up!
Ow!
Please excuse him, sir. Let us begin.
Oh,
Let us begin.
blimey. Right, okay. To move your camera around the battlefield, just hold down the right mouse button and slide your mouse around.
Try moving your camera now.
And I'm actually going to be using keyboard and mouse for this. If you've been around the... if you've been around my channel for a little bit... There we go, so I can pause. If you've been around my channel a little bit, you know I usually use controller. I'm actually going to use mouse and keyboard for this. The other thing is, if you already know how to play, it's like, oh, this will be boring. don't worry, after the episodes are up that I actually start doing the missions, you can just watch those and not really watch this. But before you leave, don't leave quite yet, before you leave, let me go over just a little bit of my history of Command & Conquer. That way you know a little bit of what to expect from me. Like I said, I'm not too great at RTSs, and the main reason for that is I don't micromanage units extremely well. I'm much better at turn-based strategy games such as Advanced Wars, like I've played Advanced Wars Dual Strike, or Final Fantasy Tactics, or kind of a little bit of a mix like Valkyria Chronicles. I'm really good at those games, not so much real-time strategy. But I'll still do my best, and it'll be fun regardless. I've played a lot of the Command & Conquer games. I've played the entire Red Alert series. I've played 1, 2, and 3. Like I said, I kind of fell out with Command & Conquer a little while ago, so if there's like a newer game than Red Alert 3, or a newer game than 4, Command & Conquer 4, Tiberium Wars, I think it was called, then I don't think I haven't played that. There was a newer one. I missed it somewhere. But a lot of the older Command & Conquer games I've played Command & Conquer, I've played Command & Conquer 2, I've played Red Alert 2, I've played Red Alert way back when. So, I do have pretty good experience with the Command & Conquer games. So, with all that said, again, if you don't want to watch the tutorial, feel free to skip. I'm going to try to make it fun, but still informative. The NPCs that talked will make it funny too, so it's kind of worth watching anyway. Like you saw there, they're already fighting even though they're supposed to be talking to us in a tutorial. There are 3 factions, as you can see. Red Alert 1 and 2 only had 2. There was the Allied and the Soviets. So if you know those games and you don't know this one, you may be wondering, wait a minute, who's the 3rd faction? It said Japanese. All that'll be explained once we start the story, and kind of why things have changed. It's really cool. Every faction works differently and has some quirks to it. Again, you could think like StarCraft or Warcraft 3 if you've played those. So, let's get on with the tutorial. You move the camera this way? Wow,
far edges of the screen.
Easy enough.
Yeah, I like
now,
that better.
To rotate
I've always
the
done
camera,
that.
hold down the middle mouse button and move the mouse around.
Try rotating your camera now.
Ooh, that's going to be awkward. There's my middle mouse button, which I actually have.
To zoom the camera in and out, simply slide your mouse wheel.
Which,
Try
that's good, I like
zooming
that.
your camera now.
As you go
my
about
mouse wheel can be
fussing with the
finicky
camera,
sometimes.
sir, remember, you can always click the middle mouse button to reset the viewing angle.
My
I wonder if I can go into the settings here. Okay, let me turn down the mouse scroll speed a little bit.
goodness, Commander, you have completed your
That's better, I
first
like that.
objective.
Woo! Go me!
Right, proper you have. Objectives, as you might have surmised, are special goals you need to accomplish in order to progress through the campaigns.
Which is the story.
In general, objectives will be labeled using special markers out on the battlefield. Follow the on-screen indicators to get to them.
If at any time you're not sure what the blazes you're supposed to be doing, hit the escape key to pay a visit to the mission menu. It'll list all your current objectives.
Really handy.
Good. Now that you have an idea for how to move around the battlefield, let's move on to controlling your units.
Let's.
Here come some of our hated enemies now.
You would say that,
To
Soviet
select a
tank.
unit, just left-click on it.
Try selecting one of these allied peacekeepers.
Nice.
Like so.
He's definitely one of ours, sir.
You may also hold down the left mouse button and drag your mouse. This will create a selection box. Any units inside the selection box will be selected. And if you want more units added to your selection, hold down the shift key and drag a selection box around those units. Okay, now
Like
that
so.
we've reminded you how to select units, you'll need to move them around the battlefield. Ow!
I was getting to that. To move your units, whilst having them selected, click the right mouse button on any open terrain.
Try moving your units to the designated area up ahead.
Now you can look at your mini-map, and you can see where to go. See, it has an exclamation point. So we're going to move them here. These are Allied Peacekeepers. They're the basic infantry of the Allied forces. Again, I'll be going more over specific units when we're actually playing the campaigns. I really like the Allied Peacekeepers. I'm a big fan.
See? They obey you without question.
Of course, I'm the commander.
How the darkened area of the battlefield revealed itself as your forces drew near. This darkened area is the fog of war and represents parts of the battlefield that may be hiding enemy troop movements. Be careful when venturing into unseen areas, and use your scouts to survey the terrain before committing your forces. Now, up ahead are some dummy targets that you are going to destroy. They resemble real-life Soviet conscripts, but I assure you they are merely robots we created for this exercise. See how foolishly they behave?
They seem so real. Observe that you can distinguish your forces from the robots based on the colored blips in the radar in the upper right corner of your battlefield control display. The color of the blips refers to the color of the different sides involved in a battle.
If you encounter different colored blips as you clear the fog of war, those are likely enemy forces, so be prepared.
Right. So, to issue an attack order to your units, whilst having them selected, put your cursor over a target and click the right mouse button.
Notice that as you move your mouse cursor over those dummies, it changes to an attack cursor.
Destroy all the target dummies in the area.
Liz.
So you see, it turns into a red cursor.
Hold it right there.
So we'll just fight these training robots.
Peace out.
So long, you stupid robots.
Bye, stupid robots.
Now, in addition to issuing attack commands on specific targets, you can have your units move and attack any enemies along the way.
To issue an attack move command, while having your unit selected, just press the A key and the right click on any open terrain. You can issue attack move orders on the radar as well.
Now look there.
Oh, a whole bunch.
We need you to lead us to that strategic point, yet many robots stand in the way. If you please, issue an attack move order to strategic point. You have the command. Lead us to victory!
Hammer tank.
Oh, and we actually have the tanks as well. One thing I'm going to do, it says right click, but I'm not used to that. We'll do left click orders. I'm just used to that. Means all I do is left click, like so. Click A and left click. Now the attack move command means they'll attack anything along the way. The move command means all they do is move there. If there's any enemies in the way, they'll ignore them. They'll just try to move to the area. Attack move is probably how you want to move most of the time. That way your units fight back as they get to places.
Now that's a fine job you did there, Commander. You now know how to move around the battlefield, as well as how to make your forces shoot their enemies dead.
Indeed. We suggest you move on to the next lesson on building a military base for further instruction on properly commanding an army.
See you there.
Yay, and then they shoot out confetti. And that's done. Those are just the basics for those. Next, we'll establish a base. An overview of how to construct a military base as the Soviets, Allies, or Empire of the Rising Sun, which are the Japanese. Thrilled to their unique building mechanics. And actually, yeah, they do build differently, which makes playing as each one unique, other than just the units. You know, all the units will be quite different as well. It's one of the reasons I really like Red Alert 3. And again, just the kind of somewhat cheesy voice acting and I don't know, it's funny to me. You can tell even like during the tutorial, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. We will have a few serious moments throughout the game, but really, Red Alert's just meant for you to have fun. It's more of a funny type game than more serious, like the basic Command & Conquer. That's what I think anyway. But regardless, what I want you to do is just laugh and have some fun with it.
Good to have you, Commander. In this mission, we'll be reminding you all about constructing a base for each of the factions. We'll start with the Allies for obvious reasons. First things first, though. On the right side of the screen is the sidebar, which is where you manage all your base construction and unit production.
Here we have one of the hated Allied mobile construction vehicles. The MCV will unpack into a construction yard. To unpack it, select it, then click on its special ability button at the bottom right of your screen. Go on, don't be shy.
Observe the ghosted image of the construction yard attached to your cursor. Now left-click anywhere on open terrain to open your MCV to unpack at that location.
Now, as you'll see, it's red over here, which means you can't unpack it there. And I believe the one of the tanks will go over it. But when it's highlighted like this, and it's not red, you can unpack it there. The MCV, the mobile construction vehicle, will turn to a construction yard, which is the heart of your base. This will let you build various things. If the mobile construction yard blows up, you won't be able to build new buildings, so keep it safe.
Setting up.
Very fancy, no?
Best remember to use the F hotkey as a shortcut to your unit's special abilities.
In general, special abilities are executed with the left mouse button, or cancelled with the right mouse button. However, the right mouse button is used for basic orders.
Bear in mind that there may be impassable areas of the map where you're not allowed to place down your structures. When you try to place a structure down over impassable or unbuildable terrain, red cells will appear on the build grid indicating that you're unable to place a structure there.
Now that your MCV has unpacked into a construction yard, you should have some new construction options available to you. To access your production structure's build queue, select the con yard or click on the production tab that's flashing.
Either way, I'm kind of old school, so I just click on the building.
Whoa, look at what we have here. Looks like you have access to build a power plant. Ow!
Don't overdo it. Commander, select the power plant button to begin building it.
This is kind of the feeling of the game. Don't overdo it, and just, you know, shooting the hammerhead tank. Just funny. And that's a running joke, by the way, if you haven't already. Throughout the tutorial, if you haven't caught on to that. So here's the power plant. The money sign is obviously how much money it takes to build the power plant. This is how much money we have. You start different missions with different amounts of cash. The clock is how long it takes to build the power plant. So it will take 10 seconds to build the power plant.
All allied structures build over time inside the construction yard. Once they're ready, you'll be able to place them on the battlefield right away. Your power plant is now ready to be placed. Simply left-click on its button and move your mouse over open terrain. Then left-click on an open spot on the terrain.
And what I really, one of the things I really like about Red Alert 3 is that time is the actual time. It actually took 10 seconds to build. We're going to put it right here.
That's the way.
So now we have a power plant.
As the name suggests, a power plant provides your base with power. All your structures, with the exception of your power plant and construction yard, use power. You can tell how much power you've got to spare by glancing at the power meter next to your radar. It's important to understand the consequences of a low power situation. While in low power, your units and structures will build at a reduced speed, and your base defenses won't work. So it's always good to have plenty of power as you build up.
The next thing you'll need to get base humming along is an ore refinery. This structure comes with a free prospector vehicle, which will collect ore from that nearby ore mine. To build your ore refinery, select the Production tab and select the Ore Refinery button, just as you did with the power plant.
The ore refinery takes 2,000 cash, 20 seconds to build, and 50 energy. This bar right here, you can kind of see it. It's a little hard to see, but that tells you where your energy consumption is at. The green bar is how much energy you have. The actual bar itself. If you hover over it, you can get an exact amount. So we have 150 energy production, and we're not using any. The lightning bolt is how much energy the building is going to use. So the ore refinery will use 50 of our 150 current energy.
Bear in mind that a single ore refinery likely will not be enough to fund your military escapades. Try to build an ore refinery next to each ore mine near your base, but be careful to defend them.
Yes, all true. And very well put. So you can see our money ticking down as it's built.
Now that construction is complete, click the Ore Refinery button and consider where to place it on the battlefield. While you're able to place your refinery anywhere on open terrain, the optimal location is just in front of an ore mine. You'll see those spots ghosted on the terrain. As you move your cursor over those spots, your structure preview should snap to the optimal position. Then, just click to place your ore refinery and you're set.
So I could put the ore refinery all the way over here, but the hammerhead tank is right. The Soviet tank. You want to place it right next to the ore mine, and you'll see why here in just a few seconds.
Aye, properly executed.
When you place your ore refinery, you get a prospector as part of the deal, and he'll go about collecting ore for you automatically. Pro tip, friend. If by some freak accident one of your prospectors or ore collectors is destroyed, you can always build another from your ore refineries. Just select the ore refinery and you'll see it can build another resource vehicle as its special ability. As long as your ore refinery is close to a mine, you only need one vehicle gathering from it. So don't waste credits making more of those little tykes than you need.
I always wonder, though, how come the mightiest nations in the world need to collect ore while killing each other? I mean, what is even in that stuff?
Don't question it.
Ow!
Don't ask ridiculous questions. Ore is the primary resource in Red Alert 3. Refinery is automatically converted to credits, which is the currency used to purchase all units and structures.
Handy.
All mines have a finite amount of resources that will eventually slow to trickle. So, if you deplete an ore mine, it's best to try and expand to another in order to maintain a steady income.
You now have power and an economy set up. You're ready to start training units for the fight. From your production tab, go ahead and build a boot camp. Remember to place it down by selecting its icon, then left-clicking on open terrain. Incidentally, you can rotate the face of a structure you're about to plop down by holding down the left mouse button and moving the mouse around. Let go of the button when ready.
The boot camp is the basic structure for Allied infantry units to be built. This is where all Allied infantry units will come from. Will come from the boot camp. What I was talking about is, you see, you can rotate it however you want. We'll put it here.
Now that you have a boot camp, you're able to train some infantry. To do this, you may select either your boot camp or the infantry tab under your radar. This will bring up the available units you're able to train. Let's train some so-called peacekeepers. Select the peacekeeper button to start training one. You may queue up multiple peacekeepers by continuing to select on his portrait.
Try holding the shift key to queue up 5 of those blokes at a time.
You can also halt the production of units or structures by right-clicking on a production button. Right-clicking a second time will cancel production and refund any credits that were spent. Left-clicking on a paused production process will resume production.
So, let's go over all of this. If you click the button, you see peacekeepers take 5 seconds to build one and cost 200 cash apiece. Tough frontline infantry who defend their cause with shotguns and bulletproof shields, which is why I really like the peacekeepers. I think they're cool. So, if we click once, we build a peacekeeper. The 1 is how many we're building. If we shift click, it queues up 5 at a time.
Where's the trouble?
If we right-click, it stops production. If we right-click again, it will cancel one of them, and you continue to right-click to cancel them and get your money back. Or, while they're building and you right-click, you can pause it for now, in case you need money or something you need to wait. Or there's something you're like, wait, I want to do this first, and go over here and do something. Left-click to continue it. So there we go.
Ready, sir. Where's the trouble?
And we'll begin making peacekeepers, which we saw in the first
You
tutorial.
can set a different rally point for them by selecting the structure and right-clicking some other place.
Ready, sir.
All three factions produce units in the same way, from the respective tabs in the sidebar.
Ready, sir.
By the by, many of your structures aren't restricted to being built on land. You can set them up on water as well. If you build another power plant, try placing it out in the drink. It doesn't cost you any extra, and most ground units won't be able to get to it that way.
Observe, however, that allied structures may only be built in the radius surrounding the construction yard. You may expand your build radius by creating command hubs, which convert from your prospectors. Please select your prospector and use its special ability to unpack it somewhere. Across the water, perhaps. Go ahead, Commander.
Now this is actually important because the different factions will work differently. So if we click on the construction yard, you can see this blue line, right? That is where we can place units. That's the only place we can place units. Or buildings, I mean. It's the only place you can place buildings, because this is where the power grid reaches to.
It's a beautiful day.
Like it said, we're going to place one over here. We'll unpack right here.
Well, all right.
And you saw it made like a little blue place there. That way we can kind of expand our influence. We'll also build a... we can't build a prospector. Sad face. Don't forget to rebuild a prospector when you're doing this. That way you'll still continue to get the ore. When you click on an ore mine, real quick, you can see this is how many credits it has. How much ore it has in it. Once it's completely depleted, I believe you can still use it, you just don't get that much cash from it. So it is a good idea to go to other mines. So now we have a command hub.
Yeah, that's it. Also, bear in mind that the Allies' technology level is local to their construction yards or command hubs. That means not all your production structures on the battlefield may offer you the same construction options. You can upgrade your construction yard or your command hub by clicking the Heighten Clearance button with one of these structures selected. Try requesting heightened clearance on both your con yard and your command hub now.
This will be important later. Bigger units require the Allies to have better clearance. Heightened clearance. Receive encrypted signals that unlock the next tier of units at your production structures. Cost 1,500. Now, this will allow this MCV and in its area of influence to build the better structures and units. However, over here, that wouldn't be the case
Now the other.
Construction options.
until we heighten its clearance. Then it will have the same options, the same buildings could be built over here as it can here. If it's a little confusing, don't worry. It'll make a little more sense in the campaign because the way the campaigns are set up, things are kind of given to you one at a time. That way, it scales up. You can kind of think of it as building blocks. Let's heighten clearance over here. The other thing we could do, we would be able to build a ore refinery right here. Thanks to this command hub giving power over here.
Upgrade complete.
You could say
Objective
power,
complete.
just kind of an area of influence to be able to build structures.
There it is. Heightened clearance costs you, and there's an even higher clearance level available after that. You need to decide when and where to request better tech when commanding the Allies. Else things may turn rotten.
Yes. Also, should you ever have need to run away like a little girl, you may pack up your conyard, then unpack it on the water. The boot camp and armor facility are the only Allied structures you may not place on the water. Your seaport, on the other hand, is the only structure you may not build on land.
Makes sense,
Ow!
right?
What was that for?
Silence! Surely the commander wants to move on to the other factions by now. Feel free to continue dabbling with the allies, then select me when you are ready to continue.
Need someone to take a look around?
Now, it will actually unlock everything for you to play around with. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save the surprises for when we play the campaigns. It'll be a lot of fun that way when you see new units. So we're going to go ahead and move on. This is a tsunami tank, which we hadn't been properly introduced to. But we're just going to go ahead and select it. And you'll see that our friends of the Empire of the Rising Sun play differently. Oh no, we're going to do the Soviets first. Whoops.
This monstrosity is the Soviet construction yard. You will see that the Soviets build differently from the Allies. Select the construction yard or the production tab, then select the reactor button.
Now, the reactor costs 800, and it provides power. Same way as the power plant.
Now place the reactor on open terrain as you did with the Allied structures.
But you'll see it's going to work a little different.
Do not wait for the reactor to build in the queue, for you would wait forever. Unlike the Allies, the Soviets carelessly build their structures out on the battlefield.
Notice how the structure is hastily being thrown together in the field. While it's building up, it's vulnerable to enemy attack, so be cautious when placing your structures. All Soviet structures build up in this way.
Just like the Allies, however, you can pause and cancel a structure's build-up by right-clicking on its button. And of course, your Soviet structures may be placed at sea, with the exceptions of the barracks and war factory.
Oi, aren't you forgetting something?
Yet. At least, not anymore. Commander, one truly unique Soviet structure you should be aware of is the Crusher Crane. Try building one now from your production structures queue.
So instead of you having to queue up the building, like you do with units, the Soviets work a little differently. You just can build it right out there.
Cranes work much like construction yards. So now, you can build two structures at once from your two separate build queues. What's more, your crane's repair drones will automatically repair nearby vehicles. Or you can order these vehicles into its grinders to crush them for a quick refund. To access your newly added build queues, select the buttons added to the sidebar. Or, click the tabs in the sidebar to cycle between queues. You can build multiple production structures to gain more build queues, allowing you to build more stuff at once. Of course, you'll need plenty of income to support this. Now, please feel free to continue exploring the richness of the Soviet build system. When you're done, please select the tsunami tank to proceed.
Objective complete.
Build a Soviet base. So, while it is vulnerable, we could build, for example, 2 reactors at once thanks to the Crusher Crane. This is where the Soviets can gain a leg up. You'll want to take advantage of being able to build multiple things quickly. Like, for example, if we want, they give you a ton of money. If we wanted to build 2 or refineries, we can do that. But like the Soviet tank said, our Hammerhead tank, you're going to need a lot of funding to do this. But it is handy. So keep that in mind. That's what the Crusher Crane will do. It'll give you another build queue.
Construction complete. New construction options.
for the collection.
Construction complete.
And then the ore collectors begin grabbing mines. So there you go. Again, we're going to wait on the rest of the Soviet structures when we get to the campaign. And here's the repair radius. You can see it here with the wrenches. Any damaged vehicle that goes into this radius, the repair drones will automatically start to repair it. Let's move on though, shall we?
At last! Let us continue, Commander, for this will be worth it. The Empire of the Rising Sun has the most unique build system in that our structures are all created from special units called nanocores. Cores may unfurl at the location of your choosing, much like an MCV unpacks into a construction yard. However, unfurled Imperial structures cannot pack back up. Go into your production structures queue and build a generator core. The generator core will be yours to control as soon as it emerges from your construction yard. If you select it, you may give it move commands around the map like any unit. To unfurl it into an instant generator while having it selected, use its unfurled special ability much like you did with the MCV earlier in this lesson. You should now have a ghosted image of the instant generator attached to your cursor. Select a spot on open terrain to make your generator core unfurl at that location.
And as you can see, it can go into water. They're amphibious. Pretty cool. So, the Empire of the Rising Sun's a little different in that way. They build a core, and then the core moves to where they need it to build. Again, the core is vulnerable to being hit, but it has more mobility.
Unpacked locations.
All nanocore are amphibious, so they can cross land as well as water.
As I just showed.
This means the Empire of the Rising Sun can spread its borders far and wide. The Imperial Docks is the only structure that cannot unfurl on land, while the Mecha Bay and Instant Dojo cannot unfurl at sea. One last thing about Imperial production structures. They must be upgraded individually to unlock new construction options. You'll find these upgrades in their build queues. Now, Commander, do you see how superior our production capability is compared with that of my barbaric friends here?
I still think ours is better. Oh no. Ow! Ow!
Keep fussing with the Imperial build system if you want. And when you're all set, select me and we'll wrap up.
Building.
So, as you can see,
Refinery core ready.
we build a refinery core,
Refinery core.
and we tell it to unfurl
Set
here.
for core unpack.
And the core will head over and unfurl. Now, it does take time. As you can see, after you build the core, for it to actually transform into whatever it's supposed to transform into. In this case, the ore refinery. Now, each one said, "Hey, we can't build this on land, or we can't build this on water." Basically, you can't build the ground unit structures where your infantry and tanks will appear on the water, and you can't build the place where ships appear on the land for obvious reasons. But that will do it for 1, this lesson, and 2, this episode.
Well, that concludes the lesson on base building. Don't worry, the other ones will be shorter. Mostly. Let's shove off, lads. Commander, see you then.
Ow!
One final shot from the tsunami tank. So there we go. That's establishing a base. Next, we will learn about units and special abilities next time, which are really neat. Your gateway to learning the strengths and vulnerabilities of all combat forces. I hope you've enjoyed this first episode and kind of get a little taste of Command and Conquer. The story is, I really like it. Again, you'll get the acting and stuff in there too. I really hope you enjoy this LP. This is, again, another one I'm doing for fun and just to show it off. And hopefully we can all have a lot of laughs and a lot of fun from it while I'm hectically trying not to lose. Until the next episode, where we will continue through the tutorial. I'm Cendril 9. Remember to shoot for the stars and take care, everyone.